What is wrong with this thing now?
Hey, are you Dustin Pari?
Yeah.
For the next 30 minutes, we will explore the unexplained. From mysteries beyond our galaxy to ghostly phenomena in our own backyard, we will dive into our psychic abilities and explore everything from conspiracies to the just plain weird. Welcome to 30-odd minutes. If the truth is out there, we will find it. But only by sheer accident.
Hey! Welcome to 30-odd minutes, Earthlings. Greetings. It's great to be here. We have hovered the mothership right into the clouds, as you can see behind me. And tonight, we're going to get spiritual. It's going to be very interesting. Want to say hello to the oddballs in the control center. How are you guys tonight?
Fabulous.
Excellent.
Everyone
have a good week?
Yeah.
What's meh?
Yes.
Weather-wise.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Oh, we finally got winter.
Yeah.
And then it melted.
It was bound to happen, but fortunately we're above the clouds now, so it's not an
Doesn't
issue
matter.
here for a spaceship. So that's good stuff. Hey, we got an email this week. Check this out. Sarah.
Yes, it says, Dear 30-odd, I love the new control center couch. Question, what does that green button do? Next to Andrew. This is Jean McCoy from Sugar Lands, Texas.
What does the green button do?
What does the button do?
Eric, what does it do?
Find out.
Don't touch the green button. All right. That bit didn't go as we hoped. Oh, well. Say let me. So, very good. Hey, this weekend I was at the Shanley Hotel in Napanoch, New York, and that was a really great place. I have a picture of it outside. There it is at night, looking very spooky. And it was a great event, and we got this field report. Check it out.
Hi, my name is Gary Robusto. We just did an event at the Shanley Hotel. I'm with the Tri-City New York Paranormal Society out of Albany, New York, and it was a really good time. So last night when we came down here, basically with a group of people, one of the ladies said, oh, we saw something move over in this little closet over here. And as we came over and walked in, we saw a black shadow, which looked like a person, walk this way, right across up into this area to disappear up over here.
Nice. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, everybody there. They were very hospitable, so much fun. Very cool haunt there in upstate New York. So great times had by all. If you're watching the show live at 30oddminutes.com, jump in our chat room because Sarah, Matt, and Andrew are waiting for your questions to pass them up to our guests. And tonight we're going to get spiritual. And I want to ask you guys, we have all varying religious beliefs represented here tonight aboard the mothership. And tonight's guest is a paranormal researcher who started investigating ghosts when he was a teenager. Since then, he's gone on to co-author 2 books, including his latest, My Home is Haunted, Now What? He's the founder of Patch Ministries. You know him from the hit TV series Ghost Hunters and Ghost Hunters International. And tonight, he's all yours. We have abducted him, as you saw right there in the beginning of the show. And here he is, live aboard the mothership, Dustin Pari. How are you, sir?
Doing good, doing good.
Good.
Thank you. My first time in a spaceship.
It's nice, isn't it?
Really, I might have to look and get one of these.
They're expensive and not well built.
No.
So, yeah.
Very well.
Yeah. But no, this is your first time aboard a spaceship?
Indeed, brother. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
You know what was great, too? During the abduction, you really didn't put up much of a fight. The stun just worked.
I just like to see where the road takes me, man.
Yeah.
You know? I don't fight much.
That's good. Well, that's good to hear. All right. So tonight, we're going to talk about ghosts and spirituality. You're a spiritual guy, and we've talked before about some of this stuff.
Right.
But it's so intriguing to me because years and years ago when I first started getting into this and writing about it as a reporter, I was on a ghost hunt with a group, and we were out in a cemetery in the middle of the night with, doing what we do. And,
right.
And I remember thinking, oh my, this is like church for these people.
Mm-hmm.
This is where they're getting their spirituality. Now, there's lots of talk about it's science, it's this, it's that. It's a lot of things, and I want to talk about that tonight. But first, finish this sentence for me.
Okay.
I believe in ghosts because...
I believe in, I like to use spirits. I don't like the term ghosts.
All right, fair enough.
Just because it stirs up in my mind the idea of like Charlie Brown with the sheet over his head. It just seems hokey. But
all right.
I believe in spirits because I think it's a realization of what happens after we pass on, the energy that's within us, our soul, and how it moves forward. I don't believe anybody's actually trapped here like a lot of people do. I think we kind of just come in and out and visit,
Okay, fair enough. So now you worked on Ghost Hunters International.
Yeah.
I want to start with talking about one of your experiences. Let's talk about the St. Augustine Lighthouse. We actually have a picture here.
All right.
And at the St. Augustine Lighthouse, tell us what happened.
St. Augustine Lighthouse is a really interesting place. It was my first lighthouse investigation that I had ever actually done. And there was at one point we were hearing a voice of a woman saying help coming from the top. And as we started to ascend the staircase, Brian and I actually saw a woman in a dress, a gray kind of appearance, walking across the top and with inside in the staircase. And it's the first time I've actually seen a full body apparition. When I was a child, I saw like a shadow figure, but this is the first time I saw what looked like an actual person walking around.
Right.
And it just stuck with me from that moment. You know, I just remember all that research, all the investigating I did as an amateur and everything. It all came to that moment. It all became very real.
So you're there, and you had a flashback, I'm sure, to that childhood memory. You're 8 years old, living in Providence, Rhode Island.
That's it.
Raised Catholic, right?
Yeah.
And what did you think, being a Catholic boy at age 8? What is this thing to you? How did you see that through your Catholic eyes?
Well, I'll tell you, man, I've always been rather open-minded, more than a lot of people that I speak to. Like I said, I don't believe spirit's actually trapped here or any of that. I don't think that fits into my belief system.
Right.
But it was just amazing to me. I was like, here is proof for the people that maybe don't, subscribe to one faith or another. Here is visual proof of some sort of life after death.
Right.
Whatever that may be. I don't think we're supposed to have all the answers, but here's something that I can't tell exactly what it is, but here's some type of energy continuing on after this person's been deceased.
Do you ask your priests at church or the nuns or anybody, like, hey, what's going on here? Does this make sense?
It all depends who you talk to, man. You've been
when you're a kid. No, when you're 8, 10, 12 years old, do you talk to your priest about it?
Didn't really talk to anybody about it when I was a kid. I was kind of closed-lipped about it and just kind of kept it to myself, Being a kid, you don't want to put too much stuff out there. People think you're crazy or you're making things up.
Right.
As I've gotten older,
we don't think you're crazy.
No, I appreciate that.
You're here in a spaceship.
But it's funny enough, like the church and stuff I go to now, like my priest and everything is into the field, ask me questions about it, we kind of banter back and forth about it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, now you're very outspoken about your faith, but on the show, it didn't really come out so much.
Yeah. Clever editing.
Okay, but I mean,
I put it out there. Yeah, I'm not somebody that I don't do prayers and stuff, and I don't try to move spirits along, kind of thing.
Right.
But it is something that I hold really close to myself, and I think some people can see it in my approach sometimes. Maybe it doesn't come across as clear as I would like it to. But, things are edited out and such. Network obviously doesn't put certain things out there. But, it's all fine. But that's how I conduct myself in my personal life and my investigations. And I don't hide, what I believe in and how I feel about things.
So, now, I've seen your talks. And if you follow this guy on Twitter like I do, you're so positive. Every day I just feel warm fuzzies. I'm just like, oh,
appreciate it.
Dustin, thanks.
No worries. You're a good man.
My day's getting better already. And I see you retweeting Patch Ministries, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Sure.
So you start Patch Ministries, what year was it, 2010?
Yeah, just 2 years ago.
2 years, okay. And so what makes you start it? What makes you say, like, this needs to be here?
What happened was I was on the road when I was doing the international show.
Right.
Being the married guy, I spent a lot of time kind of by myself, just hanging out in the hotel room. Not a big partier, just kind of quiet. And I started listening to a lot of podcasts and stuff and different preachers, and it was just something for myself. And I just kind of felt this movement in me that I should go and put some stuff out there. Given the platform that I've been given, I'm very thankful for. And I had a lot of people that would write to me because of my work in this field saying, what do you think this is? I was raised as this. What do you think this is? And I tell them, listen, I'm not a great biblical scholar, but I'll tell you my opinion on it. And there seem to be more and more people coming to me that have been asked to step down from their position within the church as a youth minister or a lector because of their belief and their investigating the paranormal. And I thought that was horrible. It's like, here's some people that have a lot of good inspiration, a lot of love for God, but because they want to look into the spirit world, not doing anything harmful, they're being asked to leave the church. And I was like, there's room for people to understand both things and to show love for God like that.
See, now that's interesting. And I'm going to read you a quote here. And this is from a website called Christwire.org. You've probably read it.
Yeah.
Something about you. The author's name is Schatz62.
Very well.
I don't think that's his real name.
Probably not.
Now, I want you to know I've paraphrased this and reworked it because Schatz62, really Yoda has better grammar. So for translation.
When you're sitting in your parents' basement typing these things, you just do the best you can.
We're going to get to this, though. Okay, I do not feel Dustin is religious, and he is against the Bible, because in the Bible it is said in Leviticus 20:27, any man or woman among you who calls up ghosts or spirits shall be put to death.
Right.
The people shall stone them. Their blood shall be on their own heads.
Right.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah,
That's pretty rough.
No, luckily no one's shown up at any of my lectures to stone me yet.
That's good.
But I do get that question a lot. They'll bring up Leviticus, they'll bring up Deuteronomy,
Yep.
and it's all the same thing about conjuring and necromancy. And I was like, this is not what most of us, at least, people I work with in this field, do at all.
Right. But help us reconcile that. So this person judged you.
Yeah.
I mean, unfairly.
Which is Christians, we're not supposed to judge.
Yeah. Judge
we're not supposed to hate.
Lest ye be judged.
Honestly, and this is a sad comment, but most of the people that hate on myself and my ministry are Christians, and it's so frustrating.
Christwire.org.
Yeah. It's very tough. It's very tough.
So, but okay, answer it first. How do you compensate for what it says?
There's a couple of things that I usually point out. When Christ first returned, he goes to his apostles.
Luke chapter 24.
Look at you dropping the numbers.
Yeah, right.
But, Didymus isn't there. Doubting Thomas isn't there. So when he shows up, Christ says to him, I am not a ghost. It's one of the first things. It's right on the cards. I had no knowledge of these cards beforehand.
Right? No, I know.
This isn't like a magic trick.
I very specifically
I have no psychic powers.
Right.
But that's one of the first things he says, okay? One of the other things that I think is very important is that Christ told people to cast out demons in his name. Now, that's not something I do personally.
Right.
But working in this field, if I do come across something that's of that nature, there are people that I can refer someone to for help. But how would you know what, some people think everything is demonic that's from the spirit world, and it's not. And by putting the time in and doing research and having things to compare it to, you can tell, what is of a darker nature and what isn't. And I think that's important if we're going to go forward. As times are changing, things are popping up, and you need to be aware of this kind of stuff.
So what's interesting to me, and there was another Bible chapter too I think is so interesting, and I've thrown this out because I've had the same attacks, even though I'm not an overtly religious guy at all. In fact, I'm practically irreligious. But
I can baptize you after if you'd like.
Don't drink it all. We'll need some. You probably need beer, actually. So in 1 Corinthians 12:10, they talk about the gifts that God bestows upon man, and it says to one the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits. And I always thought that was interesting. That to me that means discerning. To see a spirit is a gift, right? Yeah. And I was almost an atheist in college. I got to the point where I reasoned away, almost. I never quite crossed the threshold. And the reason I never got there was because I believe in ghosts. And when I had an experience that I couldn't explain any other way than just say this is a ghost or spirit, something that is not supposed to be here, to me it meant, well, that means there's something more after we die, which is huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huge.
It's a huge realization.
Like that's and from there, I'm still working on it. I've been working on it for 15 years, but that's huge.
Right. That seed is there, and it can grow from there.
Right. And so it always bothered me when people said, this is against religion, against God, against whatever, because I think a lot of good can come from it. My story's not unique. Other people have had something like that happen. But especially on the show Ghost Hunters and Ghost Hunters International, there's such a push to like the scientific study of this stuff. Yeah. Can science truly?
I'm not a scientist guy.
Yeah.
I'd further represent myself as a man of faith than a man of science.
Right.
I think there are some things that that need to be proven scientifically and to try to validate some of the experiences that people have.
Right.
But for me, first and foremost, I'm a person that operates out of my base and my faith.
Right.
So that's how it works for me. And one of the things I always pray for, actually, is to have that gift of discernment, to see, even in this world, people that are working for the powers of good and the people that are not.
Right.
Because that's
okay, we're right here, dude. Huh? We're right here. We're sitting right here.
Plain sight.
Yeah. Right. All right. So before we jump to our expert panel, I did want to bring up one thing, and I don't even like talking about him, but I have to mention Tim Tebow.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway,
don't hate Tim Tebow just because we're in New England.
No, that's the only reason I hate him. Let me go on the record as saying that, because I'm a New England fan. I don't hate him. I just, especially after the beating they got. So Tim Tebow, I read a great article in Sports Illustrated that talked about Tim Tebow's faith makes everyone uncomfortable. Because, and he gets judged. Are you praying that you're going to get this third down conversion? Because why are you wasting God's time with that?
Right.
And the reality is, we're not in his head or his heart or his soul, right? We don't know what he's praying for, Right. And And I'm sure there's a few parallels when you become a public figure and you're public with your faith.
Right.
Have you felt some of that same judgment?
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, there is a lot of judgment that goes with it. Right. I get some people that'll write me like repeatedly on Twitter, just like hate stuff about God and whatever, and you call yourself a Christian. It's like I don't call myself anything.
Right.
I am a Christian because of my beliefs and how I operate, and that's the way we're supposed to do it. You don't go out there with a sign, beating people over the head with a Bible.
Right.
But here's my thing about Tebow, though. It's I'm a Dolphins fan, so I really have no interest in one team or the other. But really have an interest in football, being a Dolphins fan the last couple of years.
Yes, of course.
But anyway, the thing that I like about Tebow is he's using the platform that he has to speak of his faith and what he believes.
Right.
Okay? And I think, if anything, it kind of shines on other people that are Christians because we're called to speak about our faith.
Right.
And most people, especially in America at this time, are ashamed of it. They're quiet about it. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Sure.
And I think that's a problem. I think that not that you have to go out and prove other people wrong. I think that's horrible. I don't go out and try to convert people on the street and tell them, you're believing in this and that.
Right.
But don't shy away from talking about who you are and what you believe in.
So would you even go to the point where let's say, right, we just did some investigating. We just got a killer EVP.
Right. No, I don't strike that
awesome
pose. It would be nice. I have a T-shirt with the pose on it, but I personally, that's not the way I do my prayers.
No T-bowing after EVP capture.
Right.
Okay, we brought a Mormon with us tonight. Sarah, please jump in. So tell us about Sarah. Recovering. Here we go. Cover it. Sarah, tell us about being raised Mormon, and was there talk of ghosts? Is this good, bad, and different?
Other than like the Holy Ghost, you mean?
Sure.
I mean, that was honestly.
Spirits, the idea of like looking for ghosts and spirits.
No. Honestly, I would say that was kind of, aside from the Holy Ghost, like I said, no talk of like paranormal activity. What happened in the afterlife, other than like certain levels of heaven. Really, it was not either supported or actively, investigated or taken seriously at all. I mean, at least that's what my experience was.
Right.
Growing up, so.
And Matt, of course, is a devout Rastafarian. Matt, you and Andrew, actually, we never really talked about religion much. Do you guys have a feeling on this? Do you think this has a conflict with religion when you're looking for ghosts and spirits and haunted places?
No. I personally don't see it. I know a lot of people, like Dustin's been saying, they get rather upset about it when it's brought up. But I just don't understand why it conflicts, the possibilities. Just the
right.
No, I just don't see a conflict in people who do. I'm sorry that they get frustrated about it.
Well, all kinds of places can be haunted, and in this week's news break, we may just see a ghost. Check this out.
A recent video shot by Chinese tourists in a church in Glasgow, Scotland, is reported to show the ghostly image of the late Lady Diana Spencer. The tourists who shot this video didn't see the figure, which does resemble Lady Diana, until sometime after they had arrived back home from their vacation. Soon after they made their discovery, the couple contacted paranormal writer Michael Cohen, who was so impressed with the video that he will be using it in an upcoming documentary on ghosts and haunted locations, which he is currently working on. Is this the spirit of Lady Diana Spencer, or just an illusion created by the stained glass window? Either way, it's pretty odd. Back to you, Jeff.
It is indeed pretty odd, and not unique, but you just saw proof of the afterlife, dude. Lady Di in a church window.
Yeah, anything on video, man, you always gotta wonder.
But the point is, and this comes up in religious circles, how many times has the Virgin Mary been seen on glass, like mildew forms on a window in Boston, or something else in a building in Miami? People see Jesus in toast,
Right.
All these things. First of all, we're a culture that's obsessed with celebrity,
right?
And that celebrity could be Lady Di or the ghost of Michael Jackson, right?
Right. Oh yeah, remember that video? Yeah.
That video made its circles. What do you think when you see Lady Di there in the church window?
I don't know. Odd place for her to show up randomly. It's one of those things. I think it actually harkens more to the fact that we're looking for something.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We're looking for answers. We're looking for a reason to believe and something to comfort us. And that's where I think, religion can kind of bring it in for people that are working in this field.
And so, speaking of questions,
all right.
Earlier today, I asked our fans on Twitter and Facebook. I said, "Hey, if you've got a question for Dustin Pari tonight, send them in. And usually we get a few when I do that for our guests. We got a lot.
I love Twitter.
I
have a problem.
So here's what we did. You got so many. We're going to do a segment that we call the one-word answer segment. So I'm going to read some of these questions from various fans of yours.
All right.
And you've got to answer in one word.
Can't use 160 characters.
No, you don't even. Twitter's like, oh, that's too much. It's one word.
Okay.
And I'll allow hyphenated words because feeling generous. Okay. Al Schmidt said, how can he eat a whole loaf of bread?
Hungry.
Okay. Shelley Bean, will he ever come to Michigan State University for a paranormal presentation?
Hopefully.
Good. Bill Prince, has anything ever caused him to question his faith?
No.
Okay. David Francis, does he have to license his hair as a deadly weapon?
Classified.
Okay. Nice. Good answer. Tara Archer, what would he do if there was no pie left in the world?
Cry.
Okay. Peggy Casper, what location has he previously investigated would he most like to return?
Lagosta.
Okay. Lynn Blanchard, generally, how is life treating him?
Awesome.
Good. Thank you, folks. Well done. You didn't even have to hyphenate.
No, that was nice. That's nice. I tried to save my hyphen in case I could only use it once, but I didn't need it.
One of those was and why, but I dropped it because how do you
that's
go there?
unfair.
Yeah, you can't
That's
go
cheating.
there. That would be cheating. So, okay. So let's talk about another case. This was a game changer for you. Over in Ireland, we've got a picture of it. Leap Castle, right?
Yeah.
This is in Ireland, built in the 15th century. There it is.
Yeah.
And here we are. Tell us what happened. How did this change your perspective?
At the time we went to Leap Castle, this was still Ghost Hunters days. This is kind of where the idea for Ghost Hunters International came from. And we're upstairs in the chapel, and it was Dave Tango and myself. And at the time, I was using more provocative type, technique for investigating. Go out there and throw some buzzwords around, a couple of curse words, and see what would happen. This was many years ago, and what happened up there was something, I don't know what, but something took me off my feet and put me on the ground there. Right. It's interesting because the people that have watched the episode think they know how it played out, but I actually wasn't being filmed when it happened. And what happened was our cameraman was up there. He didn't want to go back up by himself to do all the little insert shots, the tight shots of the spiders, and where we put the EMF detector, all that. So he asked us, "You guys mind waiting? I'll just get my B-roll." So Tango and I were like, "Sure, we'll just hang out." And so we were just kind of standing shoulder to shoulder. He was on my right side, and we were just kind of BSing back and forth and talking and hanging out. And he swears to this day that he actually saw my feet raise up off the ground before I got knocked over.
Right.
It happened so quick to me, I had no idea exactly what happened. It felt like just by, like getting hit by a wave like in the ocean.
So that's not a passive experience, like seeing an apparition and going, whoa, that's weird. I mean, you were physically assaulted.
It was very, very, it was very personal.
It's a little different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Man. And it really made me think further about, what are we doing in this field? We need to take a more respectful approach to talking to the spirits. And
right.
It actually did, if anything, it probably furthered my faith and my understanding of how these things work.
Interesting. Anything like that since?
No, nothing like that since at all.
All right. We do have questions and comments for you. Sarah, please, do tell.
Oh my gosh, there's so many comments about your hair, Dustin.
Just read us 6. All right, 1.
A lot of half of them sound kind of disappointed. Like I guess it lost an inch since they've last seen you.
Yeah, well, I had to trim it down recently. Yeah, that's what I didn't want to take away from Matt's hair.
It's like your hair is its own entity. All
yeah,
by itself.
Right. If I could just teach it to sign autographs.
But there's a lot of questions. People are actually really fascinated with your faith because I don't think they realize how near and dear to your heart it is. One thing someone asked, do you feel like it actually helps you in terms of like giving you power of discernment, meaning like between good and evil when you are out there, and as a way to protect yourself even? Yeah,
I mean, I definitely think, through the power of prayer and having a steady and constant relationship with God, I think gives you this feeling of power and protection at all times,
Right.
It's just there and you can feel it, it's tangible. For investigation purposes, I've always felt pretty comfortable. I always tell everybody, if you keep yourself centered, you're in a good place emotionally and spiritually, mentally. I think you'll be okay. You got to be like a shepherd with this stuff. You got to be vigilant. You got to be on top of things. You got to be aware of what's going on around you.
Right.
But definitely, my faith, probably more my day-to-day life than anything, is made me feel more comfortable.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Sarah. Any others? I mean, I know you got a ton in there. You got comments, too.
Yeah, I mean, the place is packed. They're definitely talking about you a lot. Kind of more of the same questions, or the same questions like, what was his most, the experience that really kind of turned his faith, but it doesn't sound like you ever had something like that, Dustin. It sounds
Castle,
like...
Yeah, if anything, Lep Castle was the one that really cemented it in the path that I was going to go down, It definitely made me approach the field differently, if anything.
So things are going great. Ghost Hunters International, traveling all the time. I know you have a family, and the travel schedule's hard on that.
It's tough.
What makes you walk away from that?
Just honestly, it was a longing to be with my family. That was one of the main things for me. Being so far away from anybody, I was always worried if something happened. It's not like I can hop on a small flight and be home. It's like 2 days of travel.
Yeah, sure.
And the other thing was there really was a calling to kind of get the time I needed to start this ministry and to cement myself as someone people can come to with questions about hurdles of faith and things. The whole thing through Patch Ministry, what I really try to put out there is having a relationship with God. I think all too often, I was raised Catholic, went to Catholic schools, very great experience, but at one point, I felt almost like I was going to become an atheist. Like I was just, they tell me all these stories, like, well, this is a parable, and no one really brought me to the relationship part of it.
Right.
It was follow this rule, follow this rule, follow this rule. God's invisible. You're on your own. And I was just like, it's got to be more than that. It's got to be understanding, and there's got to be, listen, I'm doing my best. I'm not perfect. Okay,
right.
God made one perfect person. The rest of us are just doing our best. But you fall, you get up, you continue in the right direction.
Just one perfect person?
I love the eyebrow thing, by the way. That is stellar.
They get unruly. They really do.
But yeah, so that's what it's all about. It's all about a relationship and understanding.
But do you think that, paranormal investigation, would you recommend it for people with spiritual questions? Jump in. Go to a haunted graveyard at midnight.
I don't like to tell people to go to graveyards. Just, I don't know. I just think out of respect, I don't like to be, not saying, if you go, you go. But
right.
I don't like to see people going around there at night. But, no, if people are interested in it, I don't see any harm in it as long as you're doing it in the right way and for the right reasons.
Right. What are the right reasons? Thrill-seeking?
Well, that's how a lot of it starts,
That's why I do it.
It is an adrenaline rush.
Of course
I can't deny that.
Of course.
But if you're having, spiritual problems, seek the counseling in the right places. But if you're interested in the paranormal, then yeah, sure. Well, look into it, but look into it in the right way.
Matt Moniz, quick question. Do you think there's a place for spirituality with all the gear and all the technical part of paranormal investigation?
I think that's the first tool out of the bag.
Good answer.
My opinion. That's the first one I grab when I go into a haunted place.
Let's have some.
And that's coming from a scientist.
Right. Chemist, scientist. Well studied. Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
It's really, I think all of this stuff, it's the elephant in the room,
Right.
And I've met so many people over the years, the groups that are trying to use the gear to, and it's interesting. It really is.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking it at all. The reality is if an object moves across the room, energy was exerted on it.
Right.
Something's going on there, and that's worth looking into for sure. But it seems like, skeptics jump in. Science doesn't ask the right questions. It's called paranormal. It means it's outside of.
Like I said, I don't think we're supposed to have all the answers to these things.
Right.
There is actually, quickly, there is this anesthesiologist that was doing some research on this type of stuff. It's interesting to me because I work as an anesthesia assistant during the day. And this anesthesiologist was talking about, I believe what he called microtubules, these little spaces in all the cells in our body.
Yep.
And perhaps that's where the energy of the soul resides, is it's through the whole body. Because he's done some tests when people are asleep versus when people are sedated. If you're sleeping naturally and sedated, and how your body reacts to light and these kind of things.
Right.
And where does that separation of consciousness go when you're anesthetized? It's fascinating stuff, and I'm hoping they further it because I think there is something to it.
Cool stuff. Dustin, we have come right out of time. The mothership is almost out of gas, and we're going to crash.
And fix the truck before I leave?
Get you back down to Earth. We will return you through time and space right where you left off. The name of the new book is called My Home is Haunted, Now What?
That's right.
Co-written with Barry Fitzgerald, and you can check it out now. We'll have links to it on our website. And until next time, everyone, please stay odd. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey.